Hello YouTube, E30 Source here today with another video. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to do this myself, but if you don't know the story already, I parked my car at an elementary school at night in my town, and I'm thinking that it's that night that somebody keyed my car. I guess somebody has some resentment towards me, or whatever it may be. It's unfortunate that people do this. It really is sad that in order to get revenge, I guess you could say, on somebody, that they would destroy, something that they cherish and they love so much. So, but I'm gonna have to repair this myself. It's, again, it's really unfortunate that it happened, but I'm gonna have to move along and fix it. So, I am going by what Ammo NYC. He's a fellow YouTuber and he does all sorts of detailing videos, and he's great. He really knows what he's talking about. If you don't know about him already, I'd check him out. He's called Ammo NYC. And so you get a great idea of what to do in this kind of situation from one of his videos. So I'm going exactly by what he says in order to fix this. So let's get started.
Start off by masking off the area around the key mark. This will prevent the other trim parts, you can see my door opener there, and any other body parts from getting exposed to either the Bondo or the paint. Here's what my masking job looked like, and this is just relative on the size of the key mark. If yours goes all the way down your car, then you're going to have to mask off more, but don't be afraid to use tape because in the end it'll protect everything else.
Alright, so the next step is to get the Bondo Professional Glazing and Spot Putty, I guess filler you could say. And it's by Bondo, and they're a great company. They do a lot of things for body work, and they're probably the industry leader for body filler. So you get your body filler out, as well as some sandpaper. I'm using 5000 grit. It may be a little high. I may need to switch down to like a 1500 or 1000 grit and wet sand. But for right now, I wanted to go the very lightest and see how it goes from there. So I'll begin with mixing in the spot putty. Open this up. And it's a two-part system. You got your cream hardener, and you got the putty itself. So, if I'm correct, I believe that it's the same exact way to a regular body filler, regular Bondo, I guess you could say. So, poke my little hole. And I'm not going to go crazy right now. I'm only going to use probably about that much. Not very much, just to start me off. And you can have a mixing board if you want. I'm using a piece of cardboard. I'm going to try to keep it simple. Next, take the cream hardener, and you do not need a lot of this. You only need, I think the ratio is you have a quarter of the putty, of the spot putty itself. You only need a pea of the cream hardener, and that's a little much, but I'll just go with it. So, close up the hardener, and then you mix it with a plastic, I guess this is squeegee. If you've ever used drywall before, it's the same exact thing, where you, the process of spackling, that's the word I was looking for, spackling. If you ever spackled before, it's basically the same thing. So, we'll try this. Mix it in real good, and you want it to get it about, I believe it's right about there. It starts to look like strawberry smoothie, kind of like a pinkish color. So, go from there. And I believe all you got to do is just rub it into the crack, like that. You don't need to go nuts. Just rub it in enough so that it fills the affected area, like so. You want to go over it maybe once or twice, just to fill it in, but it looks pretty good right now, I can't complain. And don't worry about the excess material on there. Right now, you want to try to get it as even layered as possible, and you'll take off that excess later on when you take off the tape. So I'm liking the way that it sits. I think it's you know, unfortunate, again, it's unfortunate that this happens in society, but people are jealous and people want to destroy nice things. It is really, really sad, but it's part of life. So I'm going to fill this in, try to use as much of this putty as I have, because I'm going to be taking it down. And this stuff dries really, really quick, so you want to work fast. Sorry if I'm not getting good camera angles, but you want to work pretty fast when you use this stuff. And you want to fill it as even as possible, all the way down the body line. And again, it's very helpful to have it all masked off, because you don't want this stuff touching any other non-affected body parts. So right now I'm going to let that dry. It's going to take maybe 10 minutes or so, and we'll check back at it, and I'll show you the results. Alright, so through further examination with a flashlight, it looks like it's filled the crack pretty well. Remember, this is the first stage of it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to peel off the masking tape, and we'll remove all the excess on top. So, come on, tape. There you go. So now it's down to one affected area, and the excess around the crack can be taken down with isopropyl rubbing alcohol, and that's what I would recommend using. So I'm going to go grab some rubbing alcohol and I'll get back to you guys. Alright, so I have my rubbing alcohol, and I'll turn on the flashlight. There we go. And I'll just rub down the excess off of the car. You gotta be kind of careful doing this because you don't want to mess up what you just filled. The rubbing alcohol does not look like it's taking off the paint, the original paint, which is a good thing, because it would defeat the purpose of this project. Yep, I went too far. Darn it. That was kind of careless of me. So I'm going to have to refill that. Alright, let's see if we can wet sand this down, make it look uniform enough so that I can try filling it with the top layer, which will be the touch-up paint. So get it kind of wet. Let's see if we can wet sand this down. Okay. Now we'll wipe it back down and get a clean cloth. And wipe it back down. Alright. Makes the paint definitely dull, but it does clean up this panel. And down the scratch I can feel, feels pretty smooth here. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to see how well the touch-up paint works. So, here's the touch of paint. So I'm going to pull the light away. Essentially what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling the paint and I'm spotting it across this key mark. Sorry, I'm losing my wording here. I'm trying to be as precise as I possibly can. I'm just trying to very lightly drag it across the mark and let it try to set into the body filler. I know some guys probably disagree with what I'm doing here, but I'm learning how to do this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to let that set in, and we'll come back to it in a couple hours to see how well it's advanced. But yeah, the bad part is this panel's never going to be the same. So once it sets though, I'm going to try wet sanding it again, seeing how well it's soaked into the filler, and then go from there. If I need to refill, then I'll refill, but for right now, I'm going to just let it dry up.
Now I began by wet sanding what I just had painted. So I used 5000 grit sandpaper and wet sanded down all the excess paint. And this is the final turnout of it. So this is the turnout of it. I think it's pretty good considering how deep the scratch was, and now it requires a good wash, wax, and a little bit of polishing. And after 2 weeks it held up pretty well. This is a low light condition and it's barely even noticeable. Thank you for watching E30 Source, and stay tuned for the next video.